Hello, welcome to Meeplecare. My name is Nicolas, and today I would like to show you how to set up and play Lucky Xmas. Lucky Xmas is an upcoming game from designer Christof van Conkelberge. It's a game for 1 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, that plays in about 30 to 50 minutes. Christoph provided me with this prototype of the game, so I can already show you how to play. Now, before we go to the North Pole, I would kindly ask you to hit the like and subscribe button. Ho ho ho! Welcome to the North Pole! Just like every year, Santa wants to buy presents for all the children around the globe. Of course, this isn't easy, and we, as elves, have decided to help him out. We will travel around the world, collecting as many winning lottery tickets as possible. With our earnings, we will help increase Santa's budget so that he can make all children happy. The elf who has contributed the most to this goal will become Santa's new sidekick. Let's start by setting up the game so that we can take a look at all the game components. You can play a basic game or an expert game. I will first show you how to set up and play the basic version of the game for 2 players. After that, I will show you how to play the expert game and how you can integrate the balance module into both of these games. Depending on the amount of players playing the game, you take an equal number of player boards out of the box. Be sure to include the player board that has this starting player symbol. Shuffle these boards and deal one out to each player. For the basic game, you place your player board in front of you with the green side facing up. Place the player board to the left of you so you have some open space to the right of your player board, because this is the place where you will form your lottery tickets. Place the scoring track in the middle of the table. For the basic game, also with its green side facing up. Be sure to leave some room beneath this board for the Christmas cards. Now, each player receives 11 cubes in one of the 5 player colors. Place 9 of these cubes at the top of your player board and then place the remaining 2 cubes on the score track. One at the 0 spot of the score track and the other one near the larger numbers. You will use this cube when you score 50 or more points. To finish this part of setup, the player who received the player board with the starting player symbol gets the starting player token and moves one of his 9 cubes to one of the 3 spots of the star reward. The second and third player will place 2 of these cubes on the star reward action. And if you are playing a 4 or 5 player game, those players place 3 cubes on this first reward action. This is the deck of Christmas cards. Shuffle this deck and place it face down near the scoring track. This way you create a Christmas card draw deck. Be sure to leave some room next to this deck for a discard pile. Now make as many rows of 3 cards as the number of players plus 1. So in our example of a 2-player game, we would now make 3 rows of 3 cards each, placing each card underneath of one of these 3 columns. Next, you give each player 4 cards. All players then choose one of these 4 cards to keep. Place that card face down in front of you and pass the other 3 cards to the player on your left. Now you choose one of the 3 cards that were passed on to you, and again you keep one of those cards and pass the remaining 2 cards to the player on your left. Keep doing this until each player has 4 cards face down in front of him. All players now turn their 4 cards face up, and you will use these cards to create a column to the right of your player board. When you look at your player board, you will notice that there is a designated spot to place each of these 4 cards. Each card is the start of a lottery ticket. As a final step during setup, give each player a summary card. This has all the winning lottery combinations on it. For the basic game, you use this side that resembles a Christmas tree. You can place this card to the left of your player board. Now you are ready to start playing. A game of Lucky Christmas is played over a number of rounds. During a round, every player takes a turn. When it's your turn, you will always choose a card from the display and add it to one of the 4 rows on your player board, trying to form a lottery ticket that wins you a lot of money to help out Santa. Once every player has taken his turn, the round ends and you will refill the cards beneath the scoring board. The basic game will end at the end of a round in which a player has exceeded the score of 100 billion, or 100 points. Let's take a look at each of these phases in more detail, and let's start with a player's turn. During your turn, you choose one of the Christmas cards from the offering to add to your player board. When you look at the placement of the cards, you will notice that there are always 3 columns of cards. You can always take a card for free from this first column. If, however, you want a card from the second or third column, you will have to use 1 or more cubes from this first reward action. You can only take a card from the second column by spending 1 cube from the star reward. Taking a card from the third column will cost you 2 cubes from the star reward action. So right now, at the start of the game, the first player can only take a card from the first column for free or a card from the second column by placing 1 of his cubes back into his supply. And he can now add this card to a lottery ticket. The second player can take a card from the first column for free, from the second or third column by paying the cost that's printed on the scoring board. So he could take this card by placing these 2 star reward cubes back into his supply. When you have chosen your card and paid for its cost if needed, you can now add it to your player board in one of these 4 slots, either as the start of a new lottery ticket or to the right of an already placed Christmas card to continue forming one. Whenever you add the third card to a row, you have now completed a lottery ticket. And it's time to see how much money you made and if you scored some extra rewards to help you out during the rest of the game. So let me show you now how to score a lottery ticket. When you have finished your lottery ticket, you will always score it in the same way, following the same method. First, you check if you can claim any rewards during the reward step, and after that, you can calculate your winnings during the charity step. Following this order, let's start with the rewards. At the same time, I can explain to you how each of these rewards work, and we can also take a closer look at those Christmas cards. Each finished lottery ticket always consists of 3 Christmas cards. A Christmas card always has 2 pictures on it of one of the 6 symbols that are used in the game. For example, this Christmas card shows you the Christmas tree and a present. The combination of these 6 symbols and their numbers will form your winning combination. With the help of your scoring card, you will be able to calculate how much money you have won with your ticket. Since this is done during the second step of scoring your ticket, I will explain how this works in a moment. At the bottom of a Christmas card, you can see a combination of letters. These letters, however, are only used when you add the balance module to your game. So, more on that later. However, at the top of a Christmas card, you might see one of the 5 reward symbols, and that's what we are looking for right now. In combination with the reward symbol at the start of the lottery ticket that is printed on your player board. When gaining these rewards, you always start with the one on your player board, and then you add any rewards from cards that form your lottery ticket. When you gain a reward, you take one of the cubes from your supply and you place it on a free spot near the reward that you just received. If there are no more cubes left in your supply, or all spots of that reward are already filled, you can no longer add a cube to that reward. Instead of adding a cube to the reward that you just earned, or if that reward no longer has any free spaces, you can always place one of your cubes on the spaces near the Christmas tree. This is where we collect presents for the orphans, And at the end of the game, we can also score some extra money if we have the most cubes near this reward. During the game, you can use these rewards to take special actions by spending these cubes and placing them back into your supply. These are always one-time benefits and you can use as many as you like during your turn. Each time, place a cube from that reward spot back into your supply. So in case of this lottery combination, I would gain 1 cube on this first reward, another cube on my star reward, a cube on this second reward, and then lastly I can place a cube on the reward that lets me discard a complete row of cards. Mind you that not all cards have one of these reward symbols. Now how do you use these rewards? The first reward, the star reward, is one that you already know. When you want to choose a card from the second or the third column, you must spend cubes from this star reward to take one of these cards. This reward with an arrow pointing both ways is a reward that allows me to change the order of a row of cards. So let's say that I really want this card from the third column, but I don't have any star rewards to pay for it. I could now spend one of these rewards to rearrange the order of the cards in this row, and I could change the location of these 2 cards. And now, when I take my card, I can take it from this first column, because here I can take a card for free. This next reward allows me to discard an entire row of cards and refill it with new Christmas cards. When you do this, you always start from the left and you work your way to the right. If you are the first to use this reward during a round, and you are currently not the starting player, you can spend this cube to take the starting player token, and that way you will be the first player to start the next round. When activating this last reward action, you don't have to spend a cube to take it, because this reward has no spaces to place them. Each time when you activate this symbol, you move your score tracker 2 spaces ahead on the scoring track. Now that you know how to deal with the rewards, let's move on to the charity step and see how much money you won with your lottery ticket. You will count your winnings based on your winning combination. The idea of the game is that when you collect cards from the display, you create a lottery ticket with a combination that allows you to win a lot of money. Each of the 6 symbols in the game has a corresponding number underneath it. You have Santa with a value of 5, the reindeer has a 4, the Christmas tree has a value of 3, the candy cane 2, the bauble 1 and the Christmas present has a value of 0. To score your ticket, you can take a look at your handy player 8 card. You can add the value of each symbol that participated in a combination. So, if you take a closer look, I have 3 candy canes and 2 baubles. This means that I have created this combination of AAA and BB. This allows me to add the points of this combination to score points. This means that I have 2, 4, 6, and for the 2 baubles 2 points, so I can now add 8 points to my score. Before we take a look at some more scoring possibilities, I have to explain to you how this Christmas present works. You can use this present symbol as a wild. It can replace any symbol in a combination, but not the value of that symbol. So you will use this present to make better combinations. These first 2 lottery tickets make use of a present to obtain a better score. On its own, without using the present, this lottery combination would give me a 4 of a kind. So I have 4 Christmas trees. So this means that I can now add the points of these 4 trees together. So this would score me 12 points. Now, if I use the present as a Santa Claus, I now have copied the Santa Claus symbol, but not its points, which means that I now have 4 plus 2 of a kind, but this allows me to add Santa's points, this 5 points, to my score of 12, giving me 17 points. So you copy its symbol to allow you to add his score, but you don't copy his point value. In this second combination, I have 2 presents and 2 reindeer. This means I have 2 two-of-a-kinds, so this would give me 8 points for these 2 reindeer and 0 points for these 2 presents. But if I use this present to copy the Santa symbol, and I use this present to copy the tree symbol, I now have 3 two-of-a-kinds. So this means that on top of these 8 points, I can also add the 5 of the Santa Claus, so this would give me 13 points, and then another 3 points for this tree. So this would give me 16 points. The last example has 1 of each of the 6 symbols, and this is also one of the scoring combinations. Just beware that when you are trying to make this combination of the 6 different symbols, you cannot use more than 1 present. Whenever you have finished scoring a lottery ticket, you take the 3 Christmas cards and you place them in the discard pile. So after each player took a turn in turn order, it's the end of the round. At the end of the round, the starting player slides all remaining cards in the display to the left and then refills the empty spaces with cards from the supply, starting with the first row, from left to right, and then to the second row, and so on. If no one claimed the starting player reward, the first player token stays with the current starting player. If not, it is now handed over to the player who claimed it, and he or she will become the starting player for the next round. Play will continue until one player has exceeded the score of 100 points, 100 billion euro. The game ends at the end of the round in which this happens. This is, however, not the end of gaining points. Remember that Christmas tree reward? Each player now gains points equal to the amount of cubes that he or she has placed here. Furthermore, the player who has the most cubes underneath the Christmas tree scores 12 points. If there are 2 players who achieve this, they both get 6 points. And in case of a 3 player, they each score 4 points. If 4 or 5 players have the same amount of cubes underneath the tree, they score no extra points. To finish this final scoring, all players also add 1 point for each cube next to a reward that hasn't been spent. The player with the most points is the winner of the game and is awarded the title of Santa's new sidekick. In case of a tie, the player who has the most cubes under their Christmas tree wins. Now that you know how to play the basic version of the game, I will show you how to set up and play the expert game. When setting up for the expert game, you use the red side of the player boards and the scoring track. Don't forget, when picking those player boards, that you again add one of the player boards that shows the starting symbol. Make sure to give each player a player aid card showing the new rewards that you can achieve when playing the expert game. Now look into the box for this Christmas module. You can place it above the scoring track or underneath the offering of Christmas cards. This board has 5 separate 3 reward spaces, 1 for each player. Whenever you want to place a cube underneath the Christmas tree reward, you will notice that this reward is no longer printed on your own player board, and that's why you will use one of these 5 spaces to place your Christmas tree rewards. During the basic version of the game, forming a certain combination would allow you to win money. In this expert version, some of these combinations don't only earn you money, but can also give you special rewards, allowing you to place a cube on one of the 2 spots near that action, or take that action immediately. You still earn these rewards during the reward step of scoring a lottery ticket. Let's take a look at these new rewards that you can take. So just like with the base game, during the expert version of the game, when scoring a lottery ticket, you first add any rewards that you gained to your player board. Starting with the one printed on the player board, I can now add a cube to this first player bonus and another cube on the star reward space. I have made a combination of 3 two-of-a-kinds. I have 2 sugar canes, 2 reindeer and 2 trees. Since it's the expert game, this also scores me an extra reward. And it's this first one. Whenever you score the reward, I can place a cube onto that specific reward, or I can choose to perform that action immediately. This first reward allows me to take any card from the Christmas card display and I can add it to one of my rows of cards. With this lottery ticket, I have 2 three-of-a-kinds. Gaining rewards starting with the ones on your player board, I would now add a cube to the star reward. There are no other reward symbols on the card, so that gives me no rewards. But because I made the combination of 2 three-of-a-kinds, I have now unlocked this reward. Again, I can choose to place a cube on one of those spaces, or I can take the action immediately. This reward allows me to take a look at the top 5 cards from the common discard pile. I can choose one card and add it to a row, placing the remaining cards back at the bottom of the discard pile. Forming this next combination would allow me to do the same, but now I use this method of choosing a card with the draw deck. So again, looking at the top 5 cards of this deck, choosing one to keep and placing it in a row, and then placing the other 4 cards at the bottom of the pile. With these first 3 rewards, it's possible for me to add cards to my display while I'm scoring a lottery card. And this would result in me scoring more than 1 lottery card during my turn. Whenever this happens, follow these rules. I'm scoring this first lottery combination and I have 3 two-of-a-kinds, which allows me, on top of these 2 bonuses that I get from finishing my lottery ticket, I can also gain this special reward. I choose not to place the cube on the reward, but to immediately claim it. So I take one card from the display and I add it to another lottery combination. This is now also a finished lottery ticket. But beware, whenever this happens, you first finish scoring one lottery ticket before you move on to the next one. And because some of these abilities let you look into the discard pile, you place any lottery tickets that you scored during a turn in a temporarily discard pile near you. When you have scored all your lottery tickets, you will place your temporary discard pile into the common discard pile. This special present reward allows you to change a symbol in a finished row to another symbol. But this time you can also copy that symbol's value. So I could spend this special present cube and change this tree symbol into a Santa symbol. I now have 4 reindeer and 2 Santas, including me copying Santa's points. So this lottery ticket would normally give me a 4-of-a-kind, scoring me 16 points, but by spending the present and copying the Santa symbol, I now have 4 reindeer and 2 Santas, giving me 26 points. With the last special reward, you can double the score of a finished row, but you can only perform this action once per row. But remember that you can always use as many of these cubes as you want. So I could have used this cube like I did to change this symbol into a Santa symbol. And now I could even spend another cube using this special reward to double my score of 26 points and change it into 52 points. You already know how this first row of rewards works, because they are the same just like in the basic game. The expert version of the game ends at the end of the round, in which a player has exceeded the score of 150 points. You still get 1 point for each cube lying next to an unused reward, and again, each of your cubes that are underneath the Christmas tree also score you a point. Whoever has the most cubes underneath the tree now scores 24 points. If 2 players have an equal amount of cubes underneath the tree, they each get 12 points. 3 winners get 8 points, and again, in case of 4 or 5 players, they don't get any points. The tiebreaker for the expert game is the same as in the basic game. The player who has the most cubes underneath the tree wins. If there's still a tie, you share the victory. Now, as the last part of this explanation, I will show you how to integrate the balance module, and you can integrate it in both the basic and the expert version of the game. In this module, we are going to transfer the money that we win to the 6 continents in order to reduce the difference between rich and poor. When you want to add this module to your game, you use the other side of this board, the green side, for a basic game, and you use the red side for the expert game. You can place this module above your scoring track. Each player at the start of the game places 1 cube of their color per continent to the left of the number 1. Whenever you score a ticket, you score it as normal, first gaining rewards, then gaining some money. But after that, you now move your pawn per continent as many spaces as the continent's initials appear on the cards of your winning ticket. At the end of the game, the players who are furthest on each track each receive 9 points per continent. So let me show you how we would score this lottery combination using the balance mode and the normal expert rules. I have formed a lottery ticket that has 3 two-of-a-kinds. First, I look for my rewards. I have one of these first player rewards and one of the star symbol rewards. Since we're playing the expert mode, this combination also allows me to place one of my cubes next to this special reward. Now I would move on to the charity step, in which I check how much money I won. Since I have used all symbols in my combination, I can add all values together. This would give me 20 points. And now with the balance module, I also take a look at the initials that I can find here. I can move one of my cubes on each of these continents 1 space. So I have North America, I have Africa, and I have Oceania. I have now completely scored this card, so I will place these cards into my temporary discard pile. On the last page of the rulebook, you can also find a solo version of the game. Before you start playing, you will choose one of these automa decks. You can choose between normal or harder difficulty. Each time when it's your opponent's turn, you will turn over one of these automa cards and they will tell you what your opponent does. You can find all the details for this solo mode at the back of the rulebook. This was all you need to know to set up and play Lucky Xmas. If you like this video, please click the like and subscribe button. And if you want to follow Meeplecare, you can do so on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. This was Meeplecare, taking care of your meeple needs.